Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine व्योमवत् व्याप्त देहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम नमः प्रणवार्थाय शुद्ध ज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशांताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। अशरीरं शरीरेषु
अशरीरं शरीरेषु
अनवस्थेष्वस्थितं
अनवस्थेष्वस्थितं
महान्तं विभुमात्मानं
महान्तं
महान्तं
विभुमात्मानं
विभुमात्मानं
मत्वा धीरो न शोचति।
मत्वा
मत्वा
धीरो न
धीरो न
शोचति।
शोचति।
मत्वा धीरः न शोचति. We see this so many times. If I understand the truth about myself, if the Dhira Purusha, Dhiman, there is no cause for Shoka. It stems from the fact that our fundamental wish in life for every human being, and like I said yesterday, for every being, is not to feel that I am subject to Shoka. It is more than just the fact that I am subject to Shoka. The fact that I feel I am subject to Shoka, that is the bondage. That feeling, that thought that I am subject to Shoka. Sometimes we look at other people and say, my God, how happy he looks. We don't know till we go close to that person how happy he really is. And we attach it to something else. You know, we look at a person and say, he's got a brand new car. How happy he looks. We don't know what problems he has. It is a fundamental requirement that we don't want to be subject to the feeling of the impression, this thing I carry in my head that Shoka will come. We justify it by saying that is the nature of life, Shoka must be there. But that is what we try to avoid. I don't want Shoka. I don't want physical pain. More than that, I don't want grief. But grief is inevitable. Grief, we are born humans, grief is inevitable. Nothing you can do. The entire Bhagavad Gita Upadesha starts with that. Hey Arjuna, why are you grieving for something that is not worthy of being grieved for? Ashotcha nanbashotchastvam. And then you talk like a great scholar. Prajnavadamscha bhashase. Gatashuncha gatashuncha. Na anusochanti panditaha. The one who understands is not subject to grief. But let's be honest. All of us, even after we think we've understood what Shastra says, we are subject to grief. We are subject to grief because the Sharira is there. The Sthula Sukshma Sharira is there. There will be grief. It is part of the Prarabdha. There will be pain and there will be grief. A Mahapurusha like Pujya Swamiji, as long as he was in that Sharira, also was subject to grief. The difference is this. He can see that the mind is grieving. And therefore the mind does not go very high nor very low. He can see what is happening. I have seen Swamiji go through that, but never extensive, never very high and never very low. He is very happy when one of his Shishyas is honored, his contribution is recognized. He is grieved when one of his Shishyas has something happened to him or her, which he knows is part of how being a human being is. So that is some relief for us. Otherwise, what do you say? I go out of the class and immediately there is possibility of grief, pain. How do I handle that? Only through knowledge. Therefore, in all of these statements, dhiraha na shochati, panditaha na shochati, atmavit shokam tarati. All of them are the same. Atmavit, the dhira, the pandita, the kavi. Kavi is also one simple translation poet. But the poet is one who sees more than most people can into every situation, every object. Therefore, he is called a Kavi. Such a person, once should come to the level of understanding, na shochati. He does not grieve. He is not subject to grief. Even when situations align themselves in such a fashion that it is considered grief in this Jagat of ours, you can see that the physical body, the Sukshma Sharira, is grieving. It is not grieving. That is the understanding of the paradox. There is grief and yet there is no grief. There is grief when people see from outside. All of us are studying, trying to understand what this knowledge is about. What is the nature of I? And it looks like I understood. And then soon after the class, when somebody goes outside and there's somebody very close to one who died, particularly if it is somebody who is from the next generation. When somebody from the next generation goes, it is called akramam. Akramam in Tamil, we say, which is not logical. But literally what it means, akramam, there's no kramam to it. Kramavat means it should be the older people should go first, the younger people should go later. That akrama is there. And whether I've been studying for 1 year or 10 years, I still am subject to grief when that happens. How can you say dhiraha na shochate? Because I am not yet dhira purusha. I'm still trying to understand. And even when the person understands, there is a very subtle separation between the mind and the Chidabhasa. The mind has no existence without Chidabhasa. Chidabhasa itself is, for all practical purposes, non-existent. Only Chit is there. Chaitanyam is there. All this is a drama being played out. And in that drama, I have to separate this. Cognitively, I have to separate it. You will see in other Upanishads, like the husk being separated from the rice. That's physical separation. We're not talking about cognitive separation. That's where all this paradox comes in. The upadhi and the vastu, they can't be separated physically. Therefore, you get these very funny statements. Anuraniya Mahato Mahiyan. Doing, he doesn't do anything. Karmanya akarma pashet. Because both are happening. The upadhi and the vastu are inseparable. Vagartat is sampraktau. Vagarta pratipattaye. Vak and artha cannot be separated. And yet, if we do some vichara, we will see that there is a difference. A word is there, it indicates a substantive. Dhiraha na shochati. The more we begin to understand this process will continue. I begin the whole process by understanding that this body-mind sense complex, I cannot be. Having got that far, we have Shraddha in the Shastra which says, if you listen carefully and if you do some careful vichara, sooner or later you will understand what the nature of I is. And with that Shraddha, the sadhaka goes on and on, does Shravanam, does Mannam, does Nididhyasanam, and eventually you can actually see in your own progress how it becoming more and more clear. That's why once one embarks on this process, there is no looking back. There is no looking back either in the process itself of trying to figure it out, or once one has reached that knowledge, there is no looking back. One just goes on till that clarity emerges. There's knowledge like that. So we were doing yesterday this Bashyam, what Bhashyakara has to say, that this Atmanam, Atmagrahanam, Swataha Ananyatva Pradarshanartham. Because in this Mula, it says, Mahantam Vibhum Atmanam. That self one understands as this, which has been defined in so many paradoxes, is the I. I, the Pratyagatma. That is the main meaning. There can be many other secondary meanings, but that is the main meaning. Tam idrishamatmanam.
Tam idrishamatmanam.
Tam idrishamatmanam matva.
Tam idrishamatmanam matva.
Ayamahamiti.
Ayamahamiti.
Dhiraha dhiman.
Dhiraha dhiman.
Na shochati.
Na shochati.
Nahi evam vidasya atmavidah.
Nahi evam vidasya atmavidah.
Shoka upapattihi.
Shoka upapattihi.
Idrisham atmanam. This type, this Atma which has been defined in all these previous mantras. As you know, Duram Brajati, Shayano Yati Sarvataha. How can anybody know this? All of these and all that Bhagavad Gita says about doing while not doing, all of that, that Atma, Idrisham Atmanam, Tam Atmanam, Tam Idrisham Atmanam, Ayam Aham Iti Matva. That Atma is the I. Because already you have looked at what I is not. I is nothing outside the body is clear. And we've looked at a little bit more carefully on I cannot be this Sharira also. Not the Sukshma Sharira, not the Sthula Sharira. But I still don't know what is I. That I is saying is that I which I have been trying to define for you here in Nachiketa. That is the I. That is where I have to understand. I am aham iti. I am Atma. I am idrisham Atma. Aham. Idrisham Atmanam yah pashyati. He was able to see this Atma as the self. Ananyaha. That such a person is the Dhira Purusha. And for that person, na shochati. Whatever is happening in this order of reality that we call the Jagat is part of the Jagat. I have nothing to do with it. When I understand the nature of I have nothing to do with it. Till then, everything that happens is attributed to I. I am Brahmana, I am Shudra, I am tired, I am hungry, I am happy, I am ignorant. All of these I belong to the Jagat, belong to the only to Upadhi. So when cognitively I'm able to separate this from the I, Atma, Pratyagatma, not an easy task because I have to use the same buddhi. My buddhi is different from your buddhi, is different from somebody else's buddhi, is different from somebody else's buddhi. The same buddhi I have to use and I have to determine that that buddhi upadhi also is an upadhi. So this cognitive separation, to get, how do I do that? We'll talk more about this because Dharmaraja will explain to us through Nachiketa what is the process. But really there is no different from what is said everywhere. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Starting with Shraddha. If I don't have Shraddha, no Shravanam, no Mananam, no Nididhyasana, nothing will happen. Therefore, I have to understand what is Shraddha. It all starts with the fact that as a human being, my quest is to get rid of the feeling of being subject to grief. And there is only one way to do that. And that is to understand that all this grief and happiness and everything does not belong to me. It belongs to Upadhi. We use words casually. I'm Ananda Swarupa. What do you mean I'm Ananda Swarupa? I am that Swarupa which enlivens both Ananda and Anananda. That Ananda Swarupa. Which is the same thing as Nyadhatvarta, same meaning. Same thing as Satyam. That person, that Dhiman, na shochati. See, shochati is a verb. Does not, the easiest, closest English translation would be does not grieve. Is not subject to grief. You can think about this. This person, to say that he is grieving doesn't make any sense. It is inappropriate to say that such a person can grieve. Not today, but tomorrow something will happen. It's inappropriate. Can never happen. As far as the Atma is concerned, there is no time. So you can't even say, no, it will happen sometime in the future. So Acharya says, Nahi evam vidasya atma vidaha. This Atmavit, what type of Atmavit? One who understands Atma correctly. Such a person, for him to say is subject to Shuka is Upapattihi, na Upapattihi. Nahi evam vidasya Atma vidaha. This kind of the one who has understood this, one who is Atmavit, who understands Atma like this, to say that he is subject to Shoka is inappropriate. This is therefore difficult to know. The Shastra recognizes it, Acharya recognizes it. Apologies. The ashram cat got in somehow. Sometimes she sits in the class quietly. Sometimes she gets a little restless. It is difficult. We recognize that. So, we recognize that it's difficult. We also recognize, once we recognize what we're trying to do is to understand This subtle, inseparable upadhi and the Atma, cognitively separate them is not going to be very easy. And yet, if it is not going to be possible, then there's no point studying. Our Sherlock Holmes used to say, no, don't confuse the impossible with the improbable. One of his famous lines. It is not impossible, but very difficult unless a lot of conditions are filled up. When those conditions are filled, it is possible. How? When those conditions are filled, then one can get it. Otherwise, why would anybody study the Shastra? Those conditions are also important. We've looked at many of them. The adhikaritva required. We've seen that akritaha should be a person, should be akritaha. We've seen that he should have a right acharya. You should have right punya behind that person. You should have Ishvara anugraha. Those are preconditions. When those conditions are totally fulfilled, then there is a method for gaining this knowledge. When we sat in the class with Pujya Swamiji, there were about 100 odd of us. Many of us did not have these conditions fulfilled. In fact, I would say most of us did not have these conditions fulfilled. But what we did have was Shraddha. It is possible that there is something to know, that there is something to gain, even if we were not absolutely certain about what it is that we wanted to gain. Somewhere in the back of the mind, that thing is there. Why should I be subject to shoka? Even if we do not explicitly understand or explain that. Is there a way of getting rid of that? And there is a Shraddha there in that, saying that this Arsha knowledge, Arsha Vidya, available to us through these Upanishads with the help of the Guru, can show us how. Once we fulfill all conditions. So we also learn about the conditions. What are the conditions which have to be fulfilled in order that we are ready to gain this knowledge? So in the next mantra, he takes it forward in the same way. Next two mantras, in fact. Yadyapi
यद्यपि
durvigneyaha
दुर्विज्ञेयः
ayamatma
अयमात्मा
thapi upayena
तथापि उपायेन
vigneyaha evetyaha evatyaha.
सुविज्ञेयः एवेत्याः.
This mantra, Acharya connects with the previous mantras. We made it very complex in all these previous mantras. My God, how in the world am I ever going to understand this? So, Acharya connects by saying, even though yadyapi, very difficult to understand, durvigneyaha. We all those mantras have made it like a mountain to climb. This Atma, I am Atma, durvigneyaha. So many complex things you've said. Tathapi, even then, upayena svigneya. By using the right method, right technique, you can gain this with some ease. It's something which is very common in our mithya life also. So many things are there which are complex, which look impossible to solve. With the right instrument, right equipment, right methodology, they can be solved. I told you about this puzzle that I saw the other day, one triangular piece in which several pieces are fitted into that. Exactly, no space. By rearranging them, he wants you to put an extra piece. On the face of it, it looks impossible. How can, if you take the individual area of each of these pieces, and take the area of the total triangle, exactly the same. How can you add one more piece and still say that I'm able to fit it in that? But it's possible. It is Maya till you know. When you know, you are the Mayan. It looks impossible. Till you know, then it can be done. By using the right technique, right method, right everything. In this mantra, Yamadharmaja says, Nayamatma pravachanena labhyah
नायमात्मा प्रवचनेन लभ्यः
न मेधया न बहुना श्रुतेन
न
मेधया
मेधया न बहुना श्रुतेन
यमे वैष वृणुते तेन लभ्यः
इमे वैश्य वृणुते तेन लभ्यः
वृणुते तेन लभ्यः
एष आत्मा विवृणुते तनूगुं
तस्यैष
तस्यैष
आत्मा वृणुते तनु
विवृणुते तं
स्वाम्
स्वाम्
First line, some of it we've seen in the earlier verses also, says, there are many things you have to do. They are what I call necessary conditions. But by themselves, they are not sufficient to give you this knowledge. We have seen in so many different places that even if you take something like Sadhana Panchakam, Acharya goes on step by step what all you should do. Adhyayanam, daily study of your Veda. Then through Viveka, gain Vairagyam from all the other goals in life. Not that the Upanishad is saying, don't have any other goal in life. You can do whatever is to be done. But from the perspective of saying, I do this because this is to be done. This is kartavyam. But my goal is moksha. In the beauty of our Vedic society, which has got all warped up over time through various external influences and other things, was that our entire life, how we speak, what we do, how we eat, how we interact with the world, all of them had only one background, moksha. Even if the person did not know about it, that is the whole thing was designed like that. That was the only goal. In the meanwhile, if you're a carpenter, you keep on perfecting your trade, you do best you can, you serve people as best as you can. If you're a Vaidika, a doctor. But the background of moksha never went away. That's why you got these outsiders came and saw this and they talked about simple living and high thinking. What high thinking? Some of them adopted it. Society has changed over time. Somewhere this idea of moksha has got buried. But moksha is the goal that one understands without losing on anything else. Keeping moksha as the goal, everything else is done. Ayam atma pravachanena na labhyaha. If you take Bhagavad Gita, when you learn Bhagavad Gita, there are again several steps you have to go through. First, you should know that something called Bhagavad Gita available. And that can give you some benefit. Two, you should have in today's world, you must have a copy of the Bhagavad Gita either in your bookshelf or in your computer or in your phone. The third step is to just read it. Maybe read it loud. And maybe get somebody to help you read it correctly. That also is important. Then you understand the meaning. Get somebody to help you with the meaning. Get a guru. Then you do it over and over and over again. You read the Bhagavad Gita not once. You will never get it in one reading, even with a guru. You do it a second time, a third time, a fourth time. And each time you do this, my God, you can see how beautifully this has been structured. Because you've read first 7 chapters, you've forgotten some of the things. When reading 17 chapters, suddenly you remember, oh my God, even there I saw something like this, that the connection is there. All those steps are there. Simply because I have a book, not going to help me. But it is necessary. Without the book, I'm not going to go to the next step. Simply because I read the Bhagavad Gita, all 18 chapters every day, it will help, but that's not the end. Ayam atma pravachanena na labhyaha. It is, like I said, necessary condition, but not sufficient condition. It is very good. Pravachana, reading the Upanishad, reading Bhagavad Gita every day is a wonderful thing to do. It is going to definitely benefit. It's going to benefit both in terms of how one lives life, and also in progress towards the ultimate goal of moksha. Therefore, it is necessary condition, but not sufficient condition. Just because I have a book in the house, I am now going to know whatever that book is trying to teach. But if I don't have the book, I'm never going to get. Pravachanena na labhyaha. Na medhaya na bahuna shrutena. They are all negation. Simply because I have medha, or I have so many different things that I have read. Every Upanishad has many components. I read all the components. I've read many Upanishads. I've read also the Karma Kanda. I've read other books. Bahuna Shrutena. And Medha, the word Medha is a wonderful word. Means it is the memory storage plus the system by which that stored memory can be retrieved at the time you need it. What you need at the time you need it. This is something we often miss. Even in a small discussion in the drawing room, You have different points of view. Other person has a different point of view. And you're discussing with him. It's not even a big discussion, not even an argument. It's just a discussion. This often happens, no? In many families, you will see one person is favoring one political party, another person is favoring another political party. He's trying to justify this, he's trying to justify this. Then, after things are over, you said goodbye, he's gone. And you, oh my God, I should have told him this. How many times do we go through this? That Medha Shakti. Recollection, one is stored memory, second is recollection, third is recollection at the time when you need it. After the fellow is gone, what's the point? You're not going to call him up and say, no, I have another argument. Gone. This Medha, therefore, you have this Medha Suktam. Wonderful Suktam, which one, if one repeats regularly, it helps gain this Medha Shakti. The ability to connect in the mind between what is stored, what knowledge is stored, and what you're now input you're getting on it now, to be able to connect and be able to recollect at the right time. But that by itself is not adequate. That's a wonderful quality to have. And necessary for understanding Atma. Why? Because I have to connect. Like I said, I'm reading the 17th chapter, I should be able to recollect that in the 3rd chapter I saw this. Oh, that is what that meant. Because once I read this, I'll go back and say, okay, now I understand this. When we are reading all this, how many times we go back and say, let's look at what the Bhagavad Gita says. This ability is important. It will make the process easier, but it's not enough. Na medhaya, na bahuna shrutena. If you don't have moksha as the purushartha, this will never happen. Unless the moksha purushartha is clear. That's why many times when people come and do namaskaram, and if I know that they've been studying, my blessing to them is, may you have your purushartha nishchaya. If you have that, everything will fall in place eventually. Yame vaisha brunate tena labhyaha. It will be gained only by them, by the person who is chosen. Brunate. Only to that person will the Atma reveal itself. A person who is fully prepared, whose adhikaritvam is complete, whose purushartha is absolutely clear. When that purushartha is clear, all the other things fall into place. Then you understand Atma Anatma Viveka, and because there's Atma Anatma Viveka, there is Vairagya. And because there is Vairagya and Viveka there, all the Shatka Sampatti gradually fall into place. Because there is Viraga. Shama, Dhamma, Ityadi automatically come into place. Therefore, what the Atma chooses, Atma doesn't choose anything. All it means is that the person is ready, and the Guru is teaching, the knowledge becomes assimilated, aparokshataya assimilated. Nayamatma pravachanena
नायमात्मा प्रवचनेन
अनेक वेद स्वीकरणेन लभ्यः.
अनेक वेद स्वीकरणेन लभ्यः
I mean ज्ञेयः.
ज्ञेयः.
Again, Bhashyakara's method of teaching. Nayamatma pravachanena, it takes from the Mula. and explains. Aneka Veda Svikarnena, by Svikarna means accepting, but by taking recourse to, by studying Aneka Veda. Pravachanena also means Vicharena. By doing all of that, either parts of the Vedas or all Vedas, all of them, Ayamatma na labhyaha. And labhya, Acharya explains as yeyaha. That your that you cannot know this simply by studying Veda. But it is necessary to say that because there is no other source of knowledge. Vedanta is the only pramana. Na api medhaya
Medaya
granthartha dharana shaktaya.
ग्रन्थार्थधारणशक्तया
Shaktaya.
I explained Medha. Medha is a necessary Shakti. Grantha Artha Dharana Shaktya. That I can understand this because I can connect that Shakti. Once it is there, it is one more step. But by itself, it is not going to give you moksha. Na bahuna shrutena,
न बहुना श्रुतेन
na bahushrutyena kevalena.
न बाहुश्रुत्येन केवलेन
Saying all the time that Shravanam is your necessary first step. This is a step, if not the first step. And he is saying that's not good enough. Kevala Shrutena na labhyaha. Again, all these are necessary, important. Each one is important. But none of these will give you that which you seek, which is freedom from feeling of being subject to shukha. Na bahuna shrutena. That explains, takes the word from there. Na bahu shrutyena kevalena. All right. You said, okay, you need to do Shravanam, you need to have Pravachanam, you need to have Medha Shakti, you need to have, all these are necessary conditions. But you're saying they're not going to give me what I want. I've been looking for it for so many years. And I thought I found a guru who can teach me. And he told me, do Shravanam, do Pravachanam, do study, daily do Parayanam. Now you're telling me that won't give me. You're contradicting yourself. No, you're not contradicting yourself. These are necessary conditions. You can't gain this knowledge without this preparation. And prior to all this, there's Shraddha required. All right? You've told me what will not give me moksha, but what will give me moksha? Please tell me. What will give me this knowledge? Kena
येन
tarhi labhya ityuchyate.
तर्हि लभ्यः
Labhya
इत्युच्यते
Ityuchyate.
Okay, all this will not give, but please tell me how to get. Kena tarhi, then kena labhyaha. How can I get? iti uchyate. What does it say? Yameva sva atmanam eshaha sadakaha.
यमेव
यमेव
स्व
स्व
आत्मानम् एषः
आत्मानम् एष
साधकः
साधकः
Vrinute
वृणुते
वृणुते
prarthayate.
प्रार्थयते
प्रार्थयते.
That sadhaka who yam is Atma here. Yam eva swamatmanam sadhakaha vrinute. He must have this clear purushartha. I want this. I don't care about all the other things because my vairagyam is kicked in. So only to that sadhaka who has that clarity of purushartha. Look at our own lives. How many of us are able to do that? My goal is moksha. But in the meanwhile, let me get this done. Let me do this. Let me get the other one. So when you do prayers, even if you pray for moksha, even if you ask for Ishwar Anugraha, saying that I want moksha, simultaneously say, Bhagavane, my daughter is not getting married. Please help me with that. My boss is being very irritating, having transferred. Whatever it is that you pray for, Where is your priority prayer? Where is your priority purushartha? Artha, kama, and even dharma. Dharma in the sense that I want to go to Swargaloka. Why? What do you want to do in Swargaloka? No, there I will not have shoka. How long? Oh, I don't know, but there I will not have. Okay, enjoy it as long as you can, come back. Start all over again. So that purushartha, which he calls the sadhaka, esha atma vrinute, prarthayate. Only is praying for this only. Tena eva
तेन एव
atmana varitra.
आत्मना
आत्मना
वरित्रा
Varitra. Swayamatma labhyah
स्वयम् आत्मा लभ्यः
स्वयमात्मा लभ्यः
nyayate ityetat.
ज्ञायते
ज्ञायते
इत्येतत्
इत्येतत्.
So that only when that, earlier we've been studying that this knowledge is available only to person who seeks this knowledge. Only when Arjuna went and asked Krishna, please teach me, I want to know. I'm confused. Did Krishna start teaching him? 7th verse of the Bhagavad Gita, he asked this, then Sanjay intervened for a little bit. 11th verse only, he starts the actual Upadesha. 2nd chapter. All of first chapter and the first 6 verses of Gita, there is no teaching. Everywhere it is like that. Nachiketa asked, I want to know this. Only then Yamadharmaraja is teaching. We've seen this before. But he's going one step further. He's saying, not only should one ask for this knowledge, but one should have absolute clarity, that's the only thing I want. Because if I get that, it's like getting everything. If infinity is available to me, every other number is available to me. Purnatvam is available to me, everything else is available to me. So he takes to that level saying, Tena eva atmana varitra swayamatma labhyah. Labhyah means nyayate. More than once, there are many such words, dhatus in Sanskritam, which mean to gain, to go, all of them will mean to know in a certain context. So, tena eva labhyaha nyayate ityetad. Kena yam swatmanam yeshah sadhakah vrunute prarthayate tameva. To that sadhaka only. This Atma reveals itself. Atma is available. Atma can be gained. This knowledge can be acquired. Because I go after this knowledge. In other words, what it means is one who does not have clear Purushartha, one who looks at life and says, no, I only want to gain wealth or anything else, artha, kama, dharma. I don't know this moksha business. I don't understand. Remember, we're all born ignorant about everything, including artha, kama, etc. Only later we pick up all these things. Moksha, we don't pick up till very late. Unless it comes from previous janma. Once we pick that up and say, my God, if that is possible, why should I get this? I told you the example, no? Where on his birthday, a 3-year-old child is given a choice of an ice cream on one hand and a fully loaded credit card on the other hand. What is the child going to choose? Runute, ice cream runute. Because he doesn't know this. We are all in the same boat. We have a choice. Artha, kama, dharma, moksha. You choose. I'm not sure of this. I don't know about this. He at least, a bird in hand is worth two in the bush. You quote all that, and then you get, therefore I want this one. When that clarity begins to come, then all these become relatively valueless. That is part of the getting ready, part of the preparation. And we will see this again and again and again till it becomes, even this becomes very clear. And then we start examining, saying, what is this moksha? How can I get this? We will see how in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.